Let's go. Sam.
Good e- Good evening, football amigos. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you all are doing well. Very excited to have another session with you all. I'm Mide, as always. Of course, I have my other two amigos here, Sam and Ayo. Ayo, you want to say hello to your amigos today?
Hey, amigos.
Awesome, awesome. And then, of course, we have Sam.
Hello, amigos.
Yes, yes. You, like I said, you're welcome to our Figo Amigos session again. Today we will be talking about Arsenal what ifs. Of course, it might be a therapy session for our dear amigo Ayo. They came so close to winning the Premier League just by points. Man City pepped them to the title once again. They're fourth in a row. As jealous as I am as I'm Manchester United fan, I feel for Ayer at this point. So this might be a therapeutic session. So of course, amigos, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments down below. We would love to read those today. But like I said, today's title is about Arsenal what if. So before we start talking about what ifs and what Arsenal can do to be better next season to hopefully challenge for that title again, Aya, we'll start with you today. How was your weekend? Because that was a crazy weekend. It was so close. And our football amigos, to give you a context of what happened this weekend, this was the final week 38 of the Premier League games. A lot of other clubs around Europe had their conclusion of their leagues as well. But from a Premier League standpoint, it was so close, neck and neck in terms of points to see who wins the title between Man City from Manchester and Arsenal from South London in the United Kingdom. So it was a very interesting way. And the way the Premier League starts those games, you have all games together starting at 10 a.m., which is 10 a.m. our time from a United States standpoint. And just having to watch different games at the same time to see the effects of one game and how it impacts the other game is what makes the Premier League so exciting. And to be honest, one of the best leagues in the world today. So back to you, Ayo. How do you feel about this weekend? What do you think about your team? How did you think they played? And just the emotions that we saw from the different players at the end of 90 minutes. How does the team move forward from here?
Yeah, thanks, Mayday. Yeah, you're right. This weekend was a very interesting watch because we're going to a place where you have this battle between the logic and the heart, you know? So logic dictates that West Ham has had a terrible. Sorry, let me just move my dog away. West
And
Ham.
like I said, it's gonna be therapeutic, right? We
Yeah,
gotta get the dogs involved too. That's
I
what
know.
it takes, right?
He's my emotional support animal for this session. Yeah. Basically logic versus heart because logic tells you the run that Man City are on. Logic tells you how difficult Everton have been the past few games. I believe before playing us, they'd only conceded a goal or two in 9 hours of football, so they had improved significantly. So, and West Ham being what West Ham has been the past few weeks, we now know their coach has been fired and he's not coming back. It was just clear that it was expected that Man City would win, and it was actually expected that Arsenal might have a difficult game because of how resilient Everton has been. My only hope going into it was to make sure that Arsenal did everything they could to make sure they fulfilled their end of the permutation. Right? The permutation was always should Man City draw or lose and Arsenal win, we get the title. So that Arsenal win was within our control, and I wanted to see us make that. And funny enough, I was going to watch the Aston Villa
Hmm.
game, Crystal Palace game, and after like a few minutes, I saw that was not going to be a competitive game, so I switched back to Arsenal, and it looked like we were going to struggle. Everton were holding on, and they were trying to counter, and then they got the first goal, and then you start to panic. And well, and this is everyone talks about bottling, bottle this, bottle job. Uh, but I saw a different Arsenal. I saw a different Arsenal that stuck to the principles and carved out a legitimate opening and put the ball at the back of the net. And even when Everton started to slow the game down, with tackling, being very, very physical. We still found a way, bringing on players who were driven, and they found the winning goal. And we could hear from the fans and the commentators to let us know how Man City were doing. They went 2-0 up in no time at all, and then you got the West Ham go back, and you're like, maybe. But after the third goal, it was kind of clear how the wind was going, and it's interesting because I think it's hard to tell what we deserve from this season, right? I mean, like
Mhm.
the best team won, obviously, but it's like, but I really do think for the last two seasons, Arsenal have been overperforming, and on all the things that matter, we're improving. And so, like, I almost can't even go back to be harsh because you're looking at 89 points. That's more points we've had in a while. You're looking at the amount of goals we've scored. That's more goals. Our goal difference almost superior. I think we're on par. Or did Man City pip us by one? I don't remember. But goals conceded, the chances XG
Mhm.
created versus our opponents. Like on all the metrics, you can see an upward trajectory that is just one of those things where it's like you finish the season, you're disappointed, but you're proud of these guys. They everything they had at the moment they put on the pitch, and as a fan, that's really all we ask. And I think the one thing that I really wanted to know is if we'd cave under the
Right.
pressure of the moment, which was that okay, if something is going on outside of there and you have to do your part, and we found a way to do that, and that made me super proud. Like, it's a tough team, big, strong players. We know how Everton are, and we found a way to win it. And so we did our part wherever we could. And so I'm sad, but I really shouldn't be because I don't really think it was in our hands since the Aston Villa
Mhm.
game. But I'm proud. Yeah, I'm proud. Mhm. I'm proud.
And you bring
Sorry
up
for
a
that
good point,
long-winded response.
Ayo.
Yeah. Mhm.
No, not at all. Not at all. Like I said, it's a therapeutic session for you to, just kind of share. I'm glad that you shared some of those stats as well that drove the conclusion of that game. And to be honest, this is something that we mentioned in our last podcast. So of course, Football Amigos, go listen to that where we talked about basically the growth that Arsenal has showed from last season into this season. Go check that out. And let us know what you think about that session we had in the comment section about some of the things that they've improved on. You could clearly see that at the end of the season, right? No matter how they were much pushed to the odds, they still stayed calm. They still played their game. They still had goals. They still controlled the game and they still kept fighting no matter what the situation was. And that level of maturity is only going to go one way. You build mentality, you build character, and so that when the situation comes again next season, they are more seasoned to be able to progress past that hurdle and move forward. So I was actually really proud of Arsenal. I did see part of the games as well, and I was very proud of how mature they played at the game. Of course, it was an emotional end when they found out Man City had won the game, but again, kudos to them. This is the reason why we're having this session here to talk about Arsenal what ifs. Of course, before we start diving into that more, I do want to hear from a Liverpool perspective. Jurgen Klopp leaving the club after about what is it 8 years with them, and
Yep.
seeing all the different things that have happened and him deciding him wanting to leave. I would love to get your perspective, Sam, from a Liverpool fan standpoint. How do you feel about that? Where do you see the club going? And then we'll definitely dive into Arsenal what ifs and in terms of what they can do, not just this summer, but into next season to try to get that title back and go for a shot again.
Before I go any further, man, I have to say, Premier League is really the best league. Um, the title was decided on the last game, on the last minute. That was impressive. And a big shout out to Arsenal, man. I wish I can give you a virtual hug, man. You should be proud. I know you are. You should. You got. Arsenal should be like, oh my god. And look at the stats from day one of the season to the last minute. I think I think Arsenal is just. I don't see anything that will change. We can talk. I mean, I can see one or two things, but we can talk more about that. About Liverpool, man. Jurgen Klopp, legend, legend, legend. Um, of course, you can put him in the class of Alex Ferguson. You can put him in the class of Wenger. But really, really, really top class manager. Very positive, progressive. And one thing that I'd like to say is, I think it really, really just pumped us up. We have the confidence to go talk to any player right now. Like, hey, why don't you join Liverpool? Because we've gone from being that quote unquote loser pool to Liverpool now. So
I remember that.
yeah, we have a chance now. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited about the future, and we'll see what change. I'm looking forward to summer camps, all those things that you got to do to get ready for the next season. So yeah.
No, I agree with you, Sam. Good analogy there. And of course, before we wrap up from a Liverpool standpoint, what do you think about the new coach and his slot coming in and your perspectives on how he plays? This was a coach that was coaching Feyenoord in the Dutch league, coming to the Premier League. I would think it's a big shoes to fill. First of all, from a coaching standpoint, and then second, you know how the English media are, and with Dutch coaches, unfortunately, I'm experiencing that right now. But what are your thoughts in terms of how Anislot will do based on what you all have, and of course where you're going from a Liverpool perspective?
Yeah, good point, man. I think as a Liverpool fan, man, I don't think it could fit into the shoes that club just left off. It's going to be a hard season. I'm expecting, few games being really, really rough for him. Given some of the things that you just mentioned, right? Premier League is a different ballgame. Uh, and also the media, and also the formation that we got right now. I think I don't know if I think he's going to tweak some things. I don't know what he's going to come
Mm-hmm.
out with. So I'm expecting a little bit of rough time with Liverpool,
Mm-hmm.
personally. And amigos, if you disagree, let us know in the comments. Yeah.
Yes. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments down below. We'd love to hear your perspectives about, of course, Arsenal and uh, Liverpool having a new coach, Annie Slot, and seeing how it would play out next season. All right, so now wanted to get into that segment and really dig deep into Arsenal what ifs, and the reason why I wanted to phrase that scenario is to paint a picture where could we go back in time to see what ifs from an Arsenal perspective during the season? What were things they could have done earlier that could have shaped the outcome that we saw this past weekend from a Premier League ending standpoint and them losing the points? And then what ifs from a future standpoint moving into the summer where we have our transfer window open between May all the way till September the 1st, where the window closes. And what does Arteta have to do, the coach? What does he have to do to not just buy the best players of the world, which doesn't always work? We've seen that with PSG, unfortunately. But knowing his system, right? What players does he need to buy? What system does he need to tweak to some extent? Of course, we'd love to hear that from Ayo. So, Ayo, from an Arsenal what is perspective, and looking back at the entire season, what do you think? What are like three key moments or changes that, if this scenario happened, it would have changed the outcome of how the season went for Arsenal as a football club?
Wow, you know, that's a very tough question. Like going through like what if and permutations. Like obviously, if we had just won all the games that we played this season, home and away, Man United,
Yeah,
Man
doing
City,
Bayern
of course,
Leverkusen, right?
yeah, we would have scored 100 goals, maybe 5 a game. I think that's a probably like a decent balance. It's difficult when you look in hindsight because you can think of like the Newcastle game. That was a big game.
Mhm.
Where not only was there controversy but it just felt like a game we could have got away with when we played Fulham.
Mm-hmm.
The performance we gave. This is all before
Mm-hmm.
Christmas, and after Christmas, maybe instead of a loss at Aston Villa, we could have got a draw, and then put the pressure up. Uh, but you think about it, and you realize that even our end of the season tally, we had 89 points. That is more points than we've had in over a decade. Like there's almost nothing we can say that what should he have done differently. The only thing I will say, and even from reading some articles about the end of the season, is fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we are in a place now where we played in a lot of competitions. We went further into the Champions League, and obviously the Champions League is a little bit different from the Europa League because you can't really take your foot off the pedal. And
Right.
it just looked like towards the end. I was noticing it during the Chelsea game, during the Man United game, and even the Everton game to some extent. Like our players were tired. Like in the last game against Everton, Saka didn't make the pitch. Ben White looked like a shadow of himself and had to be taken off. Then a lot of players were playing within themselves. And I think if anything, maybe a better stable of players would have made a difference because he did try to change things around, but you see the game when he brings on Nketiah, when he brings on Cedric, when he brings on surprisingly Nelson, and to some degree, but not as bad as those others when he brought up Emil Smith Rowe and
Mm-hmm.
Vieira, and you could just see the standard drop. And either you see it from a mistake scenario, but most importantly, an inability to contain.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did understand about our first 11 is very adept at containing other teams, meaning that if they're bringing on pressure, they're not going to play past us easily, and when they do play past us, we recover very, very fast. When you start putting players like Vieira, when you start putting players like Emil Smith-Rowe in particular, even sometimes Gabriel Jesus on the wings, Nelson and Cedric, we lose that ability to recover, and so we concede way more chances without necessarily the inputs. And so when I got to the season, you hear that Cedric is leaving, El Neni's leaving, and Nketiah is on the chopping block. You understand that Arteta understands what is necessary. We just need
Mm-hmm.
a good stable of 16 to 17 players that you can cycle through without a drop in level. Because you imagine with Man City, they had Grealish on the bench for most of the season.
Yeah.
I feel like that's about as much as you just need to say is Walker was in and out. The only person that really hampered them, two players I guess, would be De Bruyne and and Rodri. But I
Yes.
mean they have a luxury of a very, very deep squad where they can switch out players with a general level, not dropping too much. Sometimes when they brought in Kovacic, you could see that. But with Arsenal, you take out uh, Declan Rice for Jorginho, all of a sudden we can't control that
Mm-hmm.
space anymore. You take out Havertz for Nketiah disappears. Even Trossard, even though he was good about finding moments on the wing play, if Martinelli is not fit, you can't control that left wing anymore. And I think that's really just it, because I was thinking about what you talked about earlier before we started recording about the team you coach, about having four ways of playing a game, and I think Arsenal have improved so much doing that. So when they were interviewing Odegaard earlier this season, he was like, it wasn't about having a plan A, a plan B, or a plan C. It was about having a plan A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, which means it's a constant chess game throughout that
Mm-hmm.
90 minutes, and you dictate, they react, you change, they react, and we have a stable of teams that can do that. And I also do think that Timber was a big
Yes.
part of that adaptation. I saw when he came on in Everton, he played a few minutes
Mm-hmm.
before the end of the season, and I saw someone who could either support on the outside, but also cut in with purpose. I'd never seen that from any of the wing backs at any time to cut infield. So basically, he took the ball from the right side of the pitch, and before he
Mm-hmm.
took his shot, he was in the middle of the box. And so this is something
Mm-hmm.
I've not seen Ben White do. I've not seen what's it called Zinchenko do. And I think
Tomiyasu.
that's
Mm-hmm.
Tomiyasu. I don't think Tomiyasu is. I mean, he did score that beautiful goal from that same position, so I'll give him
Mm-hmm.
credit. But that's something we missed. So having a little bit more versatility. So I really do think that we go back this season, we understand which are the players in our team that when we need them, they bring our level down. When we have to put them on, they bring our level down. And we got to get rid of those players and find players because we really need a winger. That's the biggest issue that we had this season because we had to be able to rest Saka and we had to be able to provide competition for Martinelli. And we're not able to provide those two, which was the biggest strength, what was it called, from last season to this season. And I think if we sort that out, even more so than getting a new striker, I think we will pick up in terms of results. But then again, we could do everything that's necessary and I get the 89. It's just a crazy world we live in when Man City is in your league. You almost just have to do the impossible every season to beat them. You got to do the impossible, and like, how much can you kick a team for not doing the impossible? It's really weird. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I agree. Sam, from your perspective, what do you think, from a what if standpoint, looking back at the season, what key moments or two could you see that Arsenal could have done something different? And moving forward, what do you think they could do differently to create this situation where they could pepper Man City and retain the title?
Really good point, Ayo. So when the question was asked, what I put down on my notes is have a strong substitution. And like you said, the wingers could be better. I'm looking at the game that actually killed Arsenal is the Aston Villa home. The 2-0. When you look at the goals came in at 84 and 87. So basically, stay in the game. And the only way you can stay in the game is have a strong substitution. You mentioned, yeah, like 16 squad, strong 16 guys. It's probably going to take having maybe 18 this time, right? Like, you know, put these guys in substitution this week, next weekend, they are there, right? Um, when you look at Man City, and I like that you mentioned Grealish was on the bench for a long time, for a lot of games. And that's the team that Guardiola has built, right? As a matter of fact, Haaland wasn't really the best of the season. I mean, he could have done better. But somehow they pulled through, right? And that's because you have a strong backup, right? So if you want to beat Man City, you have to come with top-notch 11. And when your guys get tired, you go in for the next 3 to 4 guys, and those guys are the best. So I think if they want to change anything, I really think I look at the formation, I look at the lineups. I think it's okay. If you really want to improve, start thinking about getting rid of Jesus. Maybe I know it sounds crazy. Find an alternative. And like you said, Martinelli earlier needs a little bit of competition. Martinelli needs some coaching done. He needs some coaching, right? Um, Saka is always on fire. Slows the games down when he needs to and quick passes. Martinelli sometimes doesn't do that, and that's killing them. Those two guys, if you can improve their game or change, get a firepower for Jesus, I think you'll be in a better position. So yeah, kudos to Arteta. I think the whole thing that is cooking in the kitchen, it's coming out. It's coming out well. It might not be next season, but next 2 seasons, you see them getting getting trophies for sure.
Mm-hmm. No, great stuff, Sam. Great stuff. I think from my perspective, you all have said pretty much everything I was thinking about. The only couple of things that I would add from a what if standpoint, I think I like to use past experiences, especially as a coach. I like to use past experiences and what I'm seeing to make decisions to improve for the future, because that's how you learn, right? That's how you learn from past experiences. You don't let that change your character or personality, but you do learn from those situations to move forward, regardless of if it's good or bad. It's always a good thing to experience different things, even though there's positive or negative. And I think for me, when Arteta mentioned last season, trust the process, it's ringing the bell to me now even more. The club trusted his process and kept him even when all the fans wanted him to leave. Remember Ayo, the famous words, Arteta out, Arteta out. That was the famous words during that season, right?
I was
But
never in that crowd, but it
oh,
was
and I'm
like,
glad you're
yeah,
not.
yeah.
But they trusted him. He had a process. He had to make tough decisions. He moved certain players out that needed to move. He rebuilt that team based on young talent. He had very specific qualities and mentalities brought into that team. And now you are seeing them mature and learn from their mistakes. Of course, it's disappointing that you wanted to win the title and you didn't, but players like Havertz, players like Odegaard, players like Saliba and Gabriel, which, from my perspective, two best defenders in the entire league, hands down, two best defenders in the entire league.
My nickname for them is Ice and Fire.
I
Gabriel is
yeah,
fire.
then
Saliba is ice.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly, exactly. And long may that continue from a national standpoint. But again, that spine is going to mature and they're going to be stronger, right? From a change perspective, maybe you need a goal scorer that can score a lot of goals, someone that can just put the ball in the back of the net. You don't need to change much, from my perspective, right? You want to bring in a left player, a left winger that's really good, again, to challenge Martinelli. I feel like your bench, you can add a little more quality to it, but I don't think you need to change much. Of course, if you keep the same system you have now, add a goal scorer in front of everyone. Of course, bring in Havertz every now and then to do the job he did this season, right? But have the same intensity, the same fight, the same tactical prowess, the great decision making. I think you will be fine. I think you'll be fine. And of course, you're going to be in different competitions, right? But having that squad will help you eventually because now you have more quality. You can start to segregate different teams to play different competitions, right? For squad rotation, but you still have them play in the same system. To me, that's what's going to breed success for you all.
I will say, coming back to that, first of all, Sam, how dare you speak ill of my boy Gabriel?
Hey.
Blasphemy.
You asked for my opinion. I'm sure
No, 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 no.
amigos will appreciate that. You need a
I
guy that will score.
I see where you're coming from with talking about. I would just say this, and I find it very funny. A lot of people were talking about it because this season, I've heard that we need to sell Zinchenko, and we need to sell Gabriel Jesus, and I'm like, last season they were our saviors, and that tells you how rapidly this team is evolving. Where it's like, what's it called? People that were like the answers last season, or what's it called? Or people are arguing where they should go. Like Zinchenko, maybe, but Gabriel Jesus offers something that not many of Arsenal players have, which is chaos. There is no team that can create the best player that can create chaos like that in the box, like like Gabriel. So I'll keep him. I will say that you are right. I don't necessarily think we need goal scorers per se. We need people who can create more chances and people who are calmer to take it. Because if you bring a striker, he has to do everything that Havertz is doing and then goals. And which is a difficult thing to understand. Like we can't carry a Haaland right now. Our team is just not built up for that. So we need someone that can offer us everything that because Havertz offered a lot of what Gabriel offered and more. So we need someone that can offer a lot of what Havertz offers and then some more. And I don't think that player exists right now that we can afford
Oh, see me.
because I don't think he's
That was the
ready.
name I was thinking.
I don't think he's ready. I don't think his overall
Wow.
play. Yeah, I watch it and I love him as a player as a Nigerian. I would pick Boniface over Osimhen.
Wow.
Oh,
Controversial,
hmm,
amigos.
Yeah,
yeah.
Please leave your
that,
comments based on
that, that,
that.
that- yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at because like I'm like the player that can elevate because you're talking about what's the Bayern Munich striker? Harry Kane. You're talking about that level of striker. We can't afford that level of striker. We're talking about Sesko right now, but that's to replacing Ketia. That's to build time and try and be an impact sub, right? But that's not to start and lead the line. So I really do think that we just have to get a. We really need a winger. That can play both left and right because we need that because we can't be benching. It's kind of a weird place where Martinelli and Saka are. You can't be benching them for too long because you don't want to stunt their progress, but you got to give them good competition. And that player with competition has to be at a level that he would demand to play. And so it's easier to cycle three than it is to cycle four. So we need that,
Hmm.
but we also need enough young players of quality. So one thing I know that Arsenal haven't been able to do in the past few years is bring players from our academy of the level. Man United, you guys did that last season. To your credit, with Ahmad and other players. Liverpool have uh, a history of doing
Elliot.
that. Elliot
Hmm.
and so far, and I'm not seeing enough. I mean, we have I forget his name, but he's still 17 years old. So
Nwaneri, I
one
believe
area,
that's him.
yes, but like he's only 17 years old, and maybe Skelly, and there's this
Hmm.
striker Obi Martin. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's 15
I
right now.
heard.
He plays for under 18, and he seems magnificent. But we'll see how he progresses. But I would like to see more talent because we can't afford. I don't think we can spend more than 100 million this this transfer window. So like we need to bring some young blood. But other than that, I'm it's all gravy here. I just do know after Havertz, I know I'm just gonna zip my mouth and whatever Arteta does, I'm just going to accept it wholeheartedly. He could just bring out a player from Portsmouth, and I'd be like, yeah, that's exactly what we need right now. So
Hmm.
so we'll see, we'll see. Yeah, I'm
What
excited.
a support,
Exciting times.
what a
Yeah,
supportive fan you are.
yeah.
Outstanding. Well, amigos, keep supporting your boy. Back to you, Mide.
Yes, yes. No, again, great way to end the season. I think from a United standpoint, there's nothing much I can say. We need a rebuild. Maybe the coach
Talk
stays, maybe he
about
goes.
transfer. Sorry, go ahead, Mide. You're talking about the coach.
And from a transfer standpoint, there's so much more we need to do there. There's also FFP hanging over our heads. Like I said, I'm just going to sit back and watch how the summer goes. So, amigos, we're going to have a lot of sessions to talk about some of the rumors that are concrete. That once we find out, we'll let you all know, and we'll discuss different opinions based on how that player fits into our system. That's going to be most of the conversation from a Football Amigos show perspective, because again, that's kind of the coaching philosophy that I have and I use whenever I coach games. I have a philosophy. We try to find players that fit into that philosophy. That's going to be a big deal for United. And from a United standpoint, we need to create a system before we start finding players to play in that system. So, amigos, we'll love to hear what you think about, what ifs from an Arsenal perspective. You've heard different perspectives today. Your perspective counts as well. We want to know, we want to read that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments down below as well. It's been an awesome time with you all today. Like always, stay positive. Thank you, Ayo. Final words from you.
Oh, it's just grateful, man. We're all blessed. We're excited to really discuss how each team have performed in more detail and where ways we can improve. And we could even do a fantasy signings. Like if we had all the money in the
Yeah,
world, who would we take right now? Mine would actually be Mbappe, man.
of
That boy's a
course.
baller. Yeah, we need a winger.
Really?
Left. Why as well just get him. Just hijack him from Real Madrid.
Good luck with that. Sam, how about you? Final words.
Nothing, amigos. Just keep doing what you're doing. Like, share, subscribe, and ride with us this summer. There's going to be a lot of talks on transfers. Man United means a lot of transfers. We're going to talk about them. They skipped today, but we'll talk about that. All right.
What is the drama queen for Football Amigo show, to be honest? All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Amigo, stay positive. Talk to you all soon. To the next show.